It's as if in each of us there once was a fire. And for some of us, there are only ashes now. But when we dig in the ashes, we find one ember. Very gently, we fan that ember. We blow on it. It gets brighter. And from that ember, we rebuild the fire. The only thing that's important is that ember. This is what you and I are here to do. Rebuild the fire. Though we've lived our life totally involved in the whirlwind of this hyper-connected world, we know that it's the ember of passion and purpose that is the most important. If we continue to nurture the ember gets stronger and the flame starts to flicker a bit. You give the flame a bit of fuel and it grows. And as you're rebuilding the fire, soon you realize that the most important thing in your life is sitting around this fire. Aligning your life around the fire of your passion and purpose. The fire is your big why, and it will determine the trajectory for the rest of your life. It will cast light on what is not serving you and motivate you to do the hardest things you've ever done to realize your true potential. Let's begin building that fire. This is the second video in my series on igniting your creative motivation. The first video was all about setting a minimum to help you get started, basically. Because before we get into all of the other practical tools, you need something to get you going first. It doesn't help if I blast you with all kinds of tools when I haven't even addressed your lack of motivation to just get started first, right? It's like having a huge studio full of brushes and paint and canvas and everything you need to create whatever you want in the world, but you never use it because you're still lacking the one thing that will get you off the darn couch and into the studio. You can have all the art supplies in the world, all the time in the world, and people begging for you to paint something so they can pay you, and yet none of it matters. Because you're stuck on the couch with no motivation to even start. What matters most is having the motivation to just do the work. Building motivation over the long term is like a snowball rolling down a hill. We've all heard about the snowball, right? Same thing with the train. You get snowball going down the hill, it gets bigger. A train is super heavy, you get it started, and it never wants to stop. So we got to get it started. We have to get the snowball started. We have to get the train started first. That being said, I hope that you've watched the first video, set a minimum, and are celebrating some of the micro wins of creativity. Remember, we are on a 1,000-mile journey, and you can't start that journey without taking the first step. If you set a minimum and have made some progress, no matter how small, we can now get into finding your ember of interest and carefully coaxing it into a huge bonfire of passion and purpose. This is your big why. We'll call it your big why. And this will fuel all your creative endeavors for the rest of your life. It could. It will. It has for me. So finding your big why, the reason why you create, the source of your passion, it takes an active approach, not a passive one. You're not going to be sitting on the couch one day and suddenly have this like epiphany that launches you into action. The action comes first. The epiphany comes by doing. This is extremely important to understand because your big why is elusive. One day you have it and your motivation goes through the roof, and maybe you're working like crazy for a week. Then the next week or day you lose it. You think, this is it. I found it. Then after a week or so, you realize that it's not quite it. It was close, but not it. So you drop down to your minimum and you keep searching. You keep experimenting. Your big why, it grows with you. It's not static. I wish it were, because that would be easy, but it's not. As you go through life learning and changing, your passions change with you. For example, if you're passionate about painting abstract landscapes and then you have a huge life event like having a child, right? I mean, that's huge. You're now a completely different person. Before, there was you with no children, and in the next moment, that person died, and you were reborn as a person with a child. The whole world has changed, but not really. What has really changed is your concept of the world, how you think about everything, how you perceive everything. That's what's really changed. Now those abstract landscapes don't interest you any longer. Now your big why is central to your child, and your art must adapt accordingly. This is why finding your big why is an active approach. It's elusive. It's always going to be changing, because you're always going to be changing. Life happens. So I urge you to look at artists' history. Look at their work, chronologically, specifically. You will see they have had these massive changes in their life. You know, my favorite is Van Gogh in Paris around 1887. Before then, most of his paintings were muted and devoid of saturated color, not the Van Gogh that we think of. Then he ended up in Paris in the middle of when the science of color was vehemently debated by artists, all over Paris. And then pow, color! The Van Gogh that we know. And it was color so intense that at that time it scared people. Color that scared people. So your big why changes as you change, just like it changed Van Gogh. But what if you don't even know your big why? I mean, this is where most people are. They don't know why they're doing it. I have a passion for it, but I'm not really sure why, right? What is my big purpose in life, right? Well, we need to dig into those ashes and find an ember, because it's there. And in fact, you have many of them. We just need to do the work to find them. And I'm going to show you how. First, let's break down what exactly motivation is. We have to know that so we have something to measure against, right? So motivation is the feeling that we get when we are driven to do stuff. It's that excitement you feel when you can't wait to get started, like a brand new toy when you were young, or that awesome video game you just can't wait to play, or you can't stop playing. Or, meeting the one you love out for a night on the town, or out for dinner or something like that. You can't wait. I mean, imagine having those types of feelings, but towards your art. You can't wait to get started. So to get there, you need to cultivate your interests into passion. And what you're interested in is the embers that I keep talking about in those ashes. We need to do a little bit of digging to find those embers. Once we do, we can combine those embers into passion. Like Voltron. Come together, unite, passion. This is where motivation starts, with things you're simply interested in, but interested enough to do something about it. Not just gaining information, like being interested in seeing what's on TV or what your favorite band is doing today. I mean, these interests aren't powerful enough to get you moving forward. So a more potent interest is when you're so interested that you think, I would like to take some classes, or I would like to buy a bunch of materials based on this, or I would like to read a book or several books on this subject. This is the kind of interest I'm talking about, the kind that gets you moving. So if you can collect all the things you're interested in, combine those into passion, then take that passion and help others, well, now you're cooking with gas, because this is your big why, and the motivation, the energy and the drive you get from it is just completely boundless. It will last forever. This is the kind of emotional connection with your work that will propel you to move mountains if you have to. So let's get practical and start discovering all the things that you're interested in with this simple exercise. Simple, but not easy. If done right, this will take some time. It took me about 2 weeks just for step 1 to get through that exercise, but afterwards I had like a ton more clarity than I've ever had on my art and its trajectory. Oh, one thing is, I want to say that I didn't come up with this on my own. This was tremendously inspired by an amazing book called The Art of Impossible by Stephen Kotler, and I would highly recommend you read his words on the subject if this resonates with you so far. Okay, back to the simple but not easy exercise. What we're going to do is we're going to make a list of everything that we're interested in. And remember, it needs to be significant, not I wonder how this color looks next to this color, or I wonder if this 10,000th digital brush is cool and will make me an awesome artist. The answer is no. And by interested, I mean something that you're willing to spend days, weeks, or years trying to figure out. That's what I mean. Drive that nail directly in multiple times. For example, I'm interested in how to make the human body glow from within, or using AI to inspire my art, or figuring out how to draw from memory like Kim Jong-ji. And that's actually a really good example. And another way to find what you're really interested in. Find your favorite artist, one that you would give anything to have their skill. Other examples could be, I wonder what it would take to be as great as top digital artists on ArtStation. Or, I love this game art. What do I need to do to make the same art for games? These are interests that are going to have you doing research, attending classes, watching videos, taking notes, watching this video, etc. Things like that. So step 1 is to make a list of these interests. Specifically, I want you to write down at least 25. Yes, 25. After the first 5 or 10 you put down, the rest will be really hard to come up with. I promise you. It was hard for me. I mean, this will require you to really think about what you enjoy and love, or already spend a lot of time on as is. To help you, I've created a PDF that you can download for free. To help you through this process, just print it out and start at step 1 by writing down your 25 interests. I see the link in the description. When I did this exercise, it took me about 2 weeks to come up with 25 interests. So take your time. There is a really good possibility that you will be building the beginning of passion that will last you the rest of your life with this list. So give it the time it needs. And that's step 1. So stop there. Stop the video, stop reading, stop listening, just stop. That's right. Don't go any further in this video. This is enough for you right now. Only when you have completed this exercise should you come back to the next steps. I don't really care about search engine optimization or my rankings on YouTube or how many subscribers I can get from this video. What I care about is making a difference in your life. And if I overwhelm you with too much up front, that will kill any small amount of motivation you already have. So please, please, please do this exercise and come back in a week or 2. Come back in, however long it takes. I think I'll take a break as well. Okay, I'm back. How did the exercise go? Do you have your list of 25 things you're interested in? Hopefully, I hope. Great, great. If you didn't do the exercise and just kept watching, then I apologize for not inspiring you enough to take action. That's my fault. But, if you put in some effort and have come up with like 15 to 20, that's fine. That's wonderful. We can work with that. Put some of those in the comments below. Let us know what you came up with, what your interests are. I would love to see that. Hell, I'll even help you use them in the next step. Just put them in the comments. So now it's time to move on to step 2 in this exercise. Take that list and find connections between your... Ooh, I hit the mic. Take the list that you have, the 25 or whatever you have, and find connections between them. Find interests that intersect in some way. Here's some example. Let's say you're interested in oil painting because you love the style of Richard Schmid and you want to paint like him because he's awesome. But you're also interested in designing characters for online games, like maybe League of Legends or something. So what would it look like if you combine the two? Maybe game characters designed in a painterly style like Richard Schmid. That'd be pretty interesting. If you make a bunch of money from that, just let me know. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, maybe one of your interests is way outside the art world, right? Because we all have interests. We don't just do art every day. We have art outside of the world, right? Let's say you love cycling and you do it competitively, but you've always wanted to paint in oil. Maybe you start painting of cyclists in oil. I mean, if that sounds far-fetched, then take a look at Karl Kopenski's work. He's done that exact thing. And I got a link in the description below to his gallery, which is really amazing. I mean, he's an amazing artist. But there's an example of him combining interests with his art. The purpose of this exercise is to turn your interest into something greater, passion. This is what passion is, a combination of multiple things you're interested in or love to do. We stack them. We're not going to depend on just one thing you're interested in and just use that to try and get motivated. No. We're going to stack as many as we can together by finding how they intersect. This is going to take some creative thinking, obviously, but we're artists, right? We could do that. So here are some examples of what I came up with when I did this exercise. I did it a few months ago, so my interests have kind of changed since then, as they do. Here I wrote down about 7 interests, so bear with me, or 9 interests. Oh, it's a long list. But I wanted to give you some example of interests just in case you're struggling with it. Number 1, I'm fed up with seeing artists put down art for years and losing sight of their passion. I want to do something about it. Hence these videos. Number 2, how to show translucency in skin through oil paint. I want to see life under the skin. I want my figure paintings to be more alive than the model. Love that. Number 3, look at ArtStation or other illustration sites to get some ideas on creating dynamic figures, motive and composition first. Number 4, how to create a dynamic and striking painting of a figure that illustrates passion. What does a painting of the big Y looks like, or my big Y? Interesting. Number 5, how to build a composition that motivates people. Number 6, research the history of Kehinde Wiley and how he achieved fame, then copy, because I love him. He's awesome. Number 7, I hate the decline of natural places on our Earth, but I don't want to create art that constantly speaks about the destruction of the planet. I want to motivate others through positive means. Number 8, combine landscapes and figures in paintings with a message on conservation. And lastly, number 9, how to bring a conservation message into my artwork. So those are 9 interests that I came up with when I did this exercise. Hopefully that kind of helps you come up with your own interests. So then I combined them into these 2 sentences that I wrote down that describe my passions well. Figure paintings full of life based on a positive motive, dynamic and striking compositions with a narrative that motivates others into action. Yeah, that hits the nail on the head, definitely. The second one is a series of figure paintings full of life within a landscape that has a positive conservation message with dynamic and striking compositions similar to artists I love on ArtStation. So if you think about those 2 sentences that I created from all my interests, they have parts and pieces from everything. I've taken it all and I've come up with ideas for my artwork. I feel more passionate about those 2 sentences than just the list of what I'm interested in, because it combines them all together. It stacks them together. So I hope those examples help. Of course, don't steal my ideas. No, I'm kidding. You can steal my ideas all day long. That's totally fine. If it helps you, that's wonderful. Put down exactly what I have. If you're interested in it, that's fine. And build those intersections into a couple sentences. But also, again, take some time with this. When you're done finding those intersections, write them down on the worksheet that I provided so you can review them regularly, because these passions could be the wellspring where your motivation flows from. So, okay, we've made it this far. That's step 2. You know the drill. Stop watching, reading, whatever, and do the exercise 2 on the worksheet. This one will not take as long, I promise, because you're looking at what you already have and you're just finding how they intersect. And I'll meet you back here when you're done. As for now, I'm kind of hungry. I'm gonna go get a snack. Oh, welcome back. Had some tea, had a snack. So I hope you have at least one paragraph written about your intersecting interests. If so, share them. Share them in the comments. I would love to see what your passions are. Share them with people. It's wonderful to see passions from other people. You could motivate me or anybody else. Now let's get on to step number 3. Wait, 3. This is by far the hardest in many cases because we need to take those passions and supercharge them with purpose. Well, Chris, how do you do that? You do that by making your passions about more than just yourself. For example, you create the game character in a painterly style specifically for teens that suffer from abuse. Or the oil paintings you do of cyclists were done specifically to be auctioned off and that money to be given to a charity that you care deeply about. Why is this motivating? Because you're already passionate about what you're doing in your art. And now you have a whole bunch of other people that are rooting you on, cheering you on as well. Plus, you've seen how, something you love to do can improve the lives of others or change the lives of others. This is all about stacking. I already enjoy doing this. How can I throw more fuel on that flame? Do it to benefit others. That's how. This is passion, supercharged into purpose. Now, I hope you see the power here. Imagine you've created something and changed someone else's life for the better. That's crazy motivating, or at least it's crazy motivating for me. As you can imagine, this is not something you do overnight. This whole system is not something that can happen overnight. Again, take your time. Maybe just get your interests aligned into what you think is your passion for now and test it. Try it out for a while, experiment and adjust. Use the worksheet that I provided multiple times to really figure this out. But one thing you must always do with this exercise is step number 4, write it down. Write it down somewhere where you look at it every single day. Use the worksheet to come up with your big why, but after that, write it somewhere big and bold so you see it every single morning when you wake up, every time you go into the studio. Not just a post-it note on your computer that's like this big, among 50 other post-it notes on there. You're an artist. Get a big sheet of newsprint, tape it to your wall, and fill it with the biggest text you can, and then put it where you see it every single morning. That way, when you wake up, you have this huge reminder of why you're getting up early and why you're doing this. Now, you may think that you'll never forget, but don't underestimate the whirlwind of life. It can blow all your plans right off the table, and years down the road, you'll find them in a closet somewhere and regret that you forgot the dreams you worked so hard to cultivate. As an example, I review my passion and purpose every single morning and make sure that the days and weeks are aligned toward them. When I find myself struggling to stay motivated, it's super helpful to take a step back, remind myself why I'm doing this. It's right here. I can look at it right now. So write it down. Somewhere you'll see it every single day. I'm going to repeat that over and over again. Write it down and review it. Another great thing about your big why is that it's also filtrational, because when you take a stand and say that I'm going to be this and I'm going to do this, you're also saying that I'm not going to be that and I'm not going to do that because it doesn't serve what I want to achieve. It makes it easier to say no as well. Your big why, you look at that and you can say no to other things. For example, someone asks you, hey, can you draw this really cool thing for me? Sorry, no, that's not my thing. This is my thing. Or someone asks, hey, you want to stay up, super late playing video games or going out to the club or whatever? You can say, no, thanks. I have this really awesome project I'm working on and I need to get great sleep tonight so I can get up early and really rock my art practice. It's easier to say no when you have that purpose. Okay, one last thing. Your big why is not a list of goals. Your big why is what creates a list of goals. Your big why is what gets you up in the morning because you can't wait to get started. It's your guiding light for everything you do. It's what creates to-do lists. It's what creates lists. It's what creates your daily schedule. So if you're reading or watching this right now and you're also looking at a huge to-do list or goal list, you may want to see if all those items match up with your big why. Maybe you'll remove some things off of those to-do lists. Maybe you'll add some, but make sure it aligns. So let's go through it. It's a long video. I'm going to go through these steps. Okay, 4 steps to finding your big why to get motivated and amplify your current motivation, or to find your big why in the very beginning. Let's review. Finding your big why comes by doing. So get on those minimums. The previous video. Your big why changes as you change. Embrace the flow and discovery of your life. Motivation begins with what you're interested in. We compound those for passion and supercharge it with purpose by using our passion to help others. Next, we have 4 steps for finding your big why. Download the worksheet again to help you with this. Step 1, list 25 things you're interested enough to get you moving. Step 2, find the intersections between those interests. Step 3, take those interests and augment them by making them about more than yourself. It's the purpose. And number 4, write it down and review daily. And lastly, this is not about a to-do list or a goal list. This is the heart of passion that creates your to-do list, your goal list, and the trajectory of your life. Once again, I hope this video helps you in some way. My purpose here is to help other artists like you become better versions of yourself and one day achieve your dreams. That's the purpose I have written right here that I review every day, and I came to it through this exercise to help you. So like, sub, see the links in the descriptions below to help you out. Check out my website, and please ask any questions you want. I love helping. I respond to everyone. And share your art. If you come up with intersections for your interests or passions or purposes, please share them. I would love to see them. If you have any questions about anything I spoke to here or any complaints, let me know. I'd love to answer anything. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.